Hello and welcome to another lecture from ophthalmology. Today we are going to discuss about the disease trachoma. So what is trachoma? Trachoma is actually a disease of both the conjunctiva and cornea. But how will we define it? We will define trachoma as the chronic inflammation of conjunctiva and cornea. It means that this is not an ordinary keratitis or an ordinary conjunctivitis. This is chronic inflammation of conjunctiva and cornea. Trachoma is the combination of inflammation of conjunctiva and inflammation of cornea. This disease is also known as keratoconjunctivitis. The term kerato means keratitis, and the term conjunctivitis means inflammation of conjunctiva. Okay, after defining keratoconjunctivitis or trachoma, we are going to discuss about the causative agents. The causative agents of trachoma or keratoconjunctivitis is solely a bacterium known as Chlamydia trachomatis. As you can understand that there are two locations affected. The one is conjunctiva and the one is cornea. So I have divided sign symptoms based on their location. I mean to say that there will be different sign symptoms in conjunctiva inflammation, and there will be different sign symptoms due to the corneal inflammation. Okay, so first, there are general symptoms. The first thing is general symptoms. General symptoms are those things which are common in many other diseases also. These are the sign symptoms that are not only seen in trachoma, but also seen in other eye diseases. Okay, so these general sign symptoms include foreign body sensation. Whenever a patient arrives with trachoma, he will complain about foreign body sensation in his eyes. And you know, when there is foreign body sensation in the eyes, the patient will frequently blink his eyes. So the patient will have irritation, frequent blinking, and foreign body sensation in the eyes. Okay, along with this thing, there will be tearing or lacrimation, increased lacrimation of eyes. Okay, there will be increased lacrimation in the eyes. And of course, when there is chronic inflammation, you can expect a lot of swelling around the affected areas. So the conjunctiva and cornea may be a little bit swelled up. So these are the general sign symptoms. These are not differentiation point. You cannot differentiate different diseases based upon only these general sign symptoms. You have to look about other things. Okay, so as I said, in trachoma, conjunctiva is also affected and cornea is also affected. So first, for your information, let me say that the conjunctiva is affected primarily and cornea is affected afterwards. So as I said, the sign symptoms are divided based on the location. So first we will learn about the sign symptoms in conjunctiva. Okay, whenever the conjunctiva is inflamed, you will see these sign symptoms, which will include papillae formation. Now, what is papillae formation? Papillae are small inflammatory bubbles which are formed here on the conjunctiva. There are these shiny bubble-like structures. These structures are known as papillae. Okay, so papillae and the other sign symptoms will be this follicle formation. Follicles are same things like papillae, but they are just a little bit larger in size. The inflammatory bubbles which I was talking about earlier are now a little bit bigger in size as compared to the papillae which were present before. So there will be papules formation. This will be known as follicles. Okay, and this will be known as papillae. So papillae are small inflammatory bubbles filled with fluid, and follicles are a little bit larger bubbles filled with fluids, and they give you an appearance which is like cobblestone appearance. you can make yourself understand by cobblestone appearance as marbles like appearance, marble inside the water. You can also expect to see scarring on the conjunctiva whenever and the new tissue starts to build up and starts to grow, starts to develop. You can expect scarring of the conjunctiva. Whenever you see star-shaped scarring, you can expect that it has happened from chlamydia infection. Okay, these are the sign symptoms which are occurring in the conjunctiva. Now, the sign symptoms which are occurring in the cornea are a little bit different. Okay, the cornea, as you can expect, the inflamed cornea looking like this. Okay, you can expect the inflamed cornea to look like this inflamed thing. Okay, sorry, you can expect it to have this opacity. This opacity is due to pus formation, and you can see that there will be blurred vision, there will be opacity in front of the pupil, and this is due to the superficial keratitis. Okay, so superficial keratitis, which can lead to photophobia. This is a very typical thing to be found in corneal inflammation. Another thing that you can expect to see in corneal inflammation is Herbert's pits. Now, what are Herbert's pits? Herbert pits are a very significant appearance which you get when there is inflammation of the limbus. Okay, the limbus is the part of the is the attachment part, or you can say it is the connective part which connects this this sclera with this cornea. So this is the connective part which is called limbus. Now, whenever there is follicles formation in this part, you can expect this part to be like bumpy part. Okay, there are certain ups and downs which will be called as Herbert's pits. There is follicles formed in on this part, they will lead to Herbert's pits. Now, after the Herbert's pits, there will be pannus formation in the cornea. Now, what is pannus? Pannus formation is pannus are actually the infiltration of vessels and white blood cells, the infiltration of blood vessels and pus. So these are the sign symptoms that we can expect to see in the corneal inflammation during the trachoma disease. Okay, we have discussed all of these sign symptoms. We have discussed about superficial keratitis, Herbert's pits, and pannus formation. Pannus formation is the infiltration of vessels, blood vessels, towards the cornea from the conjunctiva. Okay, let me show you a picture of pannus formation. Let me show you here. Okay, these are the things. Here the redness is not too much, but you can see that there is pannus formation here. You can see that there are these blood vessels which are progressing from the conjunctiva towards the cornea, and this is what we call pannus formation. So there will be pannus formation, and there will be superficial keratitis, and there will be Herbert's pits in the corneal inflammation. Now, let me tell you something. These, whatever we studied up till now, we studied clinical feature based on the location. Based on the location, they are not important. Actually, all of these things which we studied based on the location, this is not how the disease progress or how the disease occurs. These sign symptoms are based on the location, but actually the sign symptoms does not occur like this. The sign symptoms occur in stages, and they are in a very good sequence. First, one thing or one part of the eye is affected, it produces certain sign symptoms, and then it follows and it proceeds in a certain sequence. So these all of sign symptoms are not in the sequence. This is not important in the diagnosing of a disease. It is just for your knowledge. But the thing which we need to understand while diagnosing is the stages. Stages are very much important. The stages of trachoma gives you the knowledge of the clinical condition of the patient. So these are the sign symptoms will occur in a sequence in these stages. Okay, so the first stage in trachoma is subclinical stage. Subclinical stage is a very initial stage in trachoma, and it is the stage where there is minimal symptoms in the patient. Symptoms like watery eyes, symptoms like foreign body sensation and irritation in the eyes. Not much things. Okay, it is just like acute inflammation and start of the disease. Okay, in the next stage there is this stage is known as Trichometer stage. Okay, there is what is there in this stage, there are symptoms which are not minimal, but the symptoms are starting to aggravate. Okay, they are starting to get worse. And how does they get worse? They get worse with the formation of papillae and follicles on the conjunctiva, as we studied earlier. So there is this thing, there will be papillae formation, there will be follicles formation. Okay, and another thing in this trichomatous stage is the progressive pannus formation. Trichomatous stage will be characterized with aggravating factors, aggravating symptoms, and progressive pannus formation. The third stage is when the disease is more of in its worst stage. Okay, it is in the worst stage. It is known as scarring stage. Now the scarring stage is characterized by arts, I don't know how to pronounce it. It is characterized by arts line scars. Now this is the scarring in the it is actually the scarring in the conjunctiva. Okay, you can see that there will be scarring of the conjunctiva, because the follicles which were produced in this stage, they are now being cleared, and that follicles which are necrosed, they are going to be replaced with the new ones, and it produces scar. Okay, so there will be scarring, and that scarring line will be known as arts line scar. Okay, so this is one thing. And the other thing in this scarring stage will be Herbert's pits. Herbert pits we have already discussed here. These are the pits which will be formed after the follicles have been cleared. So this is another thing, okay, which we already discussed. Herbert's pits is in the formation of Herbert's pits is in the third stage. And another thing is regressive pannus. Regressive pannus is another, it is vice versa to this progressive pannus, actually very opposite to this regressive pannus. Okay, so there will be scarring stage, and scarring stage is characterized by these things. And then there will be the fourth stage, which is known as sequeling or complication stage. Okay, in this stage, the inflammation, there is no active inflammation. I mean to say that there will be no active pus formation, there will be no white blood cell infiltration, and all of the inflammatory signs will start to decrease. But there will be certain symptoms that are still present due to the complication of the previous stage, of the scarring stage, or maybe the Trichometer stage. Okay, so complication is actually not the active inflammation stage, but there will be symptoms because of the previous stages. So complication, and after the complication, and what are the complication actually? Complications are I'll talk about it later. But the other complication will be photophobia. Photophobia is when there is opacity in front of the eyes and in cornea due to the inflammatory stage, as we can see here. So this is one complication, because there is opacity from the previous inflammatory stage, and now you cannot see. So this is photophobia, and photophobia is occurring due